Hey there, fellow cultists. This is DMNL, and I'm back with another video. This one is a update on my campaign. One of the reasons why I started doing these videos is because I wanted to kind of give a update on how my personal Shadow the Demon Lord campaigns are coming along, um, and just kind of do campaign diaries and just share how one DM runs his games. And the whole purpose of that, well, basically, I like watching those types of videos from other DMs. So I wanted to do one myself because what I find useful out of that is seeing how other DMs, do their homebrew campaigns or take existing adventures and have to modify them as I go, and just their whole process for running a game, and just kind of compare it to how I do it, and try to learn from other DMs. And so I wanted to do something similar, which is again one of the reasons why I am doing these videos for Shadow the Demon Lord. Now there's plenty of actual plays out there where you can actually watch games being run, but I don't think it's the same thing, because in these types of videos, you get the DM's insight. Basically, you're getting into their head, getting into their creative thought processes, and kind of getting an idea how they take certain ideas and they turn them into an actual game that people hopefully enjoy. So I've done a few of these already in this series, and I did one actually for the campaign that I just wrapped up. And I believe it was episode 39. And I was really excited because I was starting the campaign. This was back in January of 2021. I had a great idea for a campaign. I wanted to use the Dreams of a Dead God as the shadow event that would be the backdrop for this campaign, and I wanted to feature one of the cities in the Confederacy of 9 cities, because that's really actually my favorite region of the campaign world in Shadow of the Demon Lord. I love the various cities in the Confederacy. Several of my other campaigns, or a couple of my other campaigns, have featured some of those cities prominently. And so I wanted to feature another one, and in this one I wanted to feature Eads, the City of Dreams. And so with the backdrop of the Dreams of the Dead God and the City of Dreams, I had come up with this whole campaign idea where this was going to be a horror-centric campaign. It was going to be very Lovecraftian. And in fact, I really wanted the dead god, quote unquote, at the end of the game, or at the end of the book, the dead god at the end of the campaign to be none other than Cthulhu himself. I wanted to bring Cthulhu into the campaign, so that was originally my idea, and I was pretty stoked about it. So I started my campaign in January, and I planned out the whole outline like I normally do, and got the campaign in a way. It started off pretty well. Got the ball rolling with my usual Tuesday night group, and started well, but then we started getting complications. One of my players had to drop out for personal reasons, and so that was a bummer, but life happens, so I had to press on. But then started getting delays, just for various reasons. Then I started having problems with Foundry. Foundry is the virtual tabletop that I use to run my game, my Shadow of the Demon Lord game, that is. And there was a big release that happened. I forget if it was April or May. I want to say it was May. But a big release happened, and after that, a lot of the stuff that I had set up stopped working right. My players were, their applications were freezing up, like after every round of combat, and they would have to basically refresh their screens, which means any of the pop-out screens that they had, they would have to close them out and then pop them out again. It was just a pain in the ass, quite frankly. And never really did figure out what was causing that. So that dragged on for at least a couple weeks. And then there were some other things, but bottom line is the campaign just didn't flow like I wanted it to. I really had this cool idea, at least I thought it was cool, where, the players would, or the characters would be part of this university and have kind of like a Harry Potter Hogwarts feel to it. There would be like a headmaster that was your basically your Dumbledore type, and they would be that would be the PC's benefactor. But then they would be going off on different missions, and one of those missions would take them out deep into the sea, where they would find an island that was actually part of a sunken island where the dead god actually sleeps, but they wouldn't know that at the time. So that would be modeled after Rillier in the Lovecraftian mythos. And eventually I had planned on having them come back, and the city would have risen, and the dead god would have come out of the of the city, and then they would have to fight the dead god. They'd have to fight Cthulhu, which would be tough. But by that time they'd be 10th level, right? So they should be able to at least die with dignity, or put a dent in Cthulhu's tentacly face. But at any rate, it didn't go the way I imagined. I didn't really plant the seeds for the Lovecraftian horror and for the monster at the end of the book to be Cthulhu. I had kind of planned on having it evolve, because initially it was going to be that the bad guys were going to be the cult known as the Sisters of the Blue Hand, and all of that's derived directly from this. And spoiler alert: the Autarch of the city married a sister of the Blue Hand, and she basically, kind of took over, got rid of him, and starting the whole city started to really go to hell, not literally, but really started to go downhill rapidly, deteriorate rapidly, and so the Sisters of the Blue Hand were behind it, and so I came up with this idea where they had a plan to get everybody in the city drugged up into this drug induced coma, basically, where their consciousness would be in the dreamlands, or in the dream realm, which is basically, the dreamlands are just Lovecraftian. So I thought, everybody's under the influence of this lotus drug that these dream merchants in Eads are selling, and their consciousness is in the dreamlands, and their consciousness is actually being fed upon by the Sisters of the Blue Hands goddess, the Lady of Sighs. So the goddess was going to be basically an avatar of Cthulhu that was being projected as what the sisters wanted to see. They wanted to see, this Lady of Sighs. So that's what was projected to them. But the actual monster on the other end that was receiving this dream power, this dream energy from all the unconscious people in Eads that, whose consciousnesses were basically being spoon-fed to Cthulhu through the dreamlands. So, Cthulhu was going to be the bad guy at the end. But, and there were going to be clues going along the way, basically showing that, maybe the Lady of Sighs wasn't actually the adversary. So I threw in some things like, men, when they took the drug that the sisters took, they would actually they would see Cthulhu as he is. And then they would go insane because it's Cthulhu, and they go insane because that's what you do when you see Cthulhu in his, naked glory. And but the sisters, when they take their nectar, they would see the Lady of Sighs. So they my players or the characters would they initially encountered this crazy guy who talked about the sleeper, which was code name for Cthulhu. And then they encountered the Sisterhood, who worshipped the Lady of Sighs, and then they figured out these two were kind of one and the same entity, which really didn't make sense, but they were trying to piece it together. But anyway, I didn't do a good enough job of getting that compiled. By the time the characters got to the Autarch's manor and confronted the Autarch's wife, who's Lady Beatra. That's this lovely lady right here. And so that, in addition to all the other things that had happened, the problems with Foundry, and the fact that I was just kind of getting burnt out with this campaign because it was really stretching longer than I wanted it to stretch, and it wasn't going the way I wanted it to go. And so I decided that I was just going to wrap it up after the final confrontation with Lady Beatra and the Sisterhood. And so I created the avatar of the Lady of Sighs, and it was it was a pretty good end for the campaign, but it ended at the end of the expert tier. I really had planned on it going into the master tier, where they would actually go into the Dreamlands. They would discover the entity in the Dreamlands that was actually facilitating the energy transfer from the people dreaming in Eads to the monster at the end of the book, Cthulhu. And they would have to defeat him. He was going to be Nightmare. So there's a villain in Marvel Comics called Nightmare, who's basically a demon. And so I kind of was modeling this guy off of that comic book villain. But I also had a thought that in order to, if you have an entity in the Dreamlands named Nightmare, then you also have one that is the counterpart, which would be Dream. And so I wanted Dream in there to be like the balancing force in the Dreamlands, and Dream would be modeled after the Sandman from the Sandman comics. And so those two would be like brothers. And normally, with both of them in the Dreamlands, they balance the power between good and evil. And so there'd be, there's neither of them would gain the upper hand, but the Sisterhood managed to capture Dream and pull him out of the Dreamland. So that left the Nightmare entity in control of the Dreamlands, and so it partnered with the Sisterhood to facilitate this dream energy transfer through the Dreamlands. And so the characters, the PCs, were to find the Sandman, also known as Morpheus, in Lady Beatra's dungeon. And part of the master tier would be finding the Sandman's magic items, his helmet, his ruby, and his bag of sand. All of this comes directly from the comic book, incidentally. But they would have to find his magic items in order for him to be able to return to the Dreamlands, and then they would confront, in the process of finding these magic items, they would have to confront Nightmare and defeat him in order to bring Dream back. So all of that was going to happen in the master tier, but again, it just wasn't working out the way that I'd wanted to, and so I decided to just wrap it up after the end of the expert tier. So all of that stuff that I had planned originally, which sounded great on paper, sounded really great in my head. I just had to kind of push it to the side, and maybe I'll use some of those ideas for a future adventure, or maybe I'll just chalk it up as, it sounded good at the time, but just didn't quite work out. So, and and at the end of the day, that's the lesson learned. Not every campaign idea that you come up with is going to work out the way that you planned. Um, most they seldom do. I mean, but most of the time they work out better because your players kind of help you mold the campaign, and ultimately between you and your players, you come up with a better campaign than what you can envision on your own. That's what normally happens. But for this particular campaign, the the it just wasn't gelling. It just wasn't coming together, and so that happens too, and that's a lesson learned. It's not always going to work out. Sometimes you just have to you know take the campaign to a logical conclusion, a good stopping point where everybody feels good about it, and just let it go. And so that's what I did. And so that's pretty much what this video is about, just kind of giving you all an update on where I took that campaign, because I did do a video on it. And like I said earlier, I was really excited about it, and then I just kind of dropped it, and it really didn't come back to it. So I wanted to give you closure, because I know you were on the edge of your seat waiting for an update. But even if you weren't, just for the sake of completion, I wanted to wrap it up. Because at some point I'm going to be talking about a new campaign, and that'll be when I start a new Shadow of the Demon Lord campaign. Now, when that happens, I don't know, quite frankly, because at this point I'm a little bit burnt out on fantasy gaming. Not Shadow of the Demon Lord, but just fantasy gaming in general. And so this happens every once in a while, and all I need, I either need a break or I need a palate cleanser. And I don't want a break. I want to continue gaming, but I want to do something other than fantasy. I don't want to do D&D. I don't want to do Shadow of the Demon Lord. I don't want to do any other fantasy right now. What I want to do is something totally different. So I have a couple of other games that I want to try out, and I'm going to try out with my group for the next few weeks, and then see how I feel after that. So maybe for the fall I'll start up something new. But there's no guarantee that my group is going to want to do Shadow of the Demon Lord. So I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to get back to it in my own personal game, my own personal Tuesday night regular game. Now, having said that, I have another Shadow of the Demon Lord game that I'm running right now. It's actually Tales of the Demon Lord that I'm running my daughter's gaming group through. I volunteered to run because their GM was in hiatus, and my daughter wasn't getting any gaming done, so I just volunteered to step in as a guest DM and run them through a few sessions. So I started that a couple months back, and we're still going. And I'm using Tales of the Demon Lord to run these guys through. Now, I already ran Tales of the Demon Lord for my normal Tuesday night group, so now I'm running it for my daughter's group, and it's interesting because I really wanted to run it again, having learned from the first time I ran it some things, and I wanted to implement some changes to how I run it the second time around. So that's what I'm doing, and so I am still playing Shadow of the Demon Lord. It's just not as regular as my Tuesday night group. My Tuesday night group's weekly, and running for my daughter's group every 2-3 weeks. Sometimes there's more or less time, but anyway, it's not as regular as my other group. So anyway, I am still playing. So I will eventually do a Tales of the Demon Lord video, because like I mentioned in my Demon Lord Essentials video a few back, I think Tales of the Demon Lord is a fantastic introduction into Shadow of the Demon Lord. It's got basically all the components of Shadow of the Demon Lord that you need to really get a feel for the game, really get a feel for the campaign world, and get a great feel for the different types of monsters that are available in the game, because there are tons of the monsters from the core book in Tales of the Demon Lord. So I will be doing a video on Tales of the Demon Lord, pretty comprehensive video at some point, but I need to finish running it first again. So that'll still be a little ways down the road. But anyway, all that to say is I'm still playing Shadow of the Demon Lord, but I do want to start another campaign for my Tuesday night group eventually. It may not be after my little break from fantasy gaming, because my team also likes D&D, so I may be going back to D&D. I also may be trying a different fantasy game. For my birthday a couple months back, I got what's it called? Dungeon Crawl Classics, and that looks really interesting. I want to try that out. I also have 13th Age, which I got when the original Kickstarter. I think that was back in 2012, somewhere around there. I got the core rule book way the hell back then, and I've yet to play it. So I may do a few sessions in 13th Age. I don't know. I'm not really sure yet. Kind of playing it by ear, but definitely there'll be some things in the fall. But I will eventually come back to Shadow of the Demon Lord because it's my favorite. So what I plan to do when we do come back is I plan on running the Queen of Gold. And I had originally planned on running Queen of Gold before I decided to go with this Dreams of the Dead God campaign that I just finished up. But because I got so excited about this campaign idea, I decided not to do Queen of Gold, and I went with the Dreams of the Dead God campaign idea, which I kind of wish now I would have just gone with the Queen of Gold. But maybe I'm glad I didn't because with all the stuff that kind of transpired over the last 6 months, I probably would have dropped it early. And I really am interested in taking that campaign from start to finish. So my next Shadow of the Demon Lord campaign, I hope to be Queen of Gold. If that does come to pass, I will do videos on it, and I will do campaign diaries. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So that is it for today's video. My next video is something I'm working on right now, and I'm kind of how should I put this? I'm kind of hoping that it will be well received, but I have a feeling that it may not. I'm not really sure. But basically, what I'm looking at is a suggestion from a couple of my viewers that have wanted me to do videos on converting D&D adventures to Shadow of the Demon Lord. So I'm kind of looking into that, into a one adventure in particular. So I'm hoping that I'll be ready to run with that for my next video. But if not, I have some other videos that I want to do. I've got a whole list of videos that I want to do. But anyway, that's what's coming up. So just to kind of give you a little teaser on that. So with that, let me go ahead and let you go. And once again, I want to thank you all for watching and appreciate your views. If you like my videos, please give me a like in YouTube. That helps to make my videos more visible, which helps to, anybody that's looking for information on Shadow of the Demon Lord can find it more easily. In fact, the other day I was perusing some messages in the Shadow of the Demon Lord Reddit page, and there was a dude on there that was a D&D player that was interested in trying out Shadow of the Demon Lord, and he wanted to know more about it. So he didn't know about my videos. I just told him, "Hey, dude, if you're interested, here's a link to my my videos, and check it out." The guy's already viewed 9 of my videos in the last couple days, so it's obviously helped him to understand the game better, and that's the whole point of me doing this, is to help people out there that want to know more about Shadow of the Demon Lord, want to understand what the game's all about, and just kind of stoke some interest. And so I want my videos to be more visible if somebody does a video search for Shadow of the Demon Lord. So in order for that to happen, I need folks to help me with the algorithm. So give me some likes, give me some comments, and help these videos be more prevalent in the whole YouTube universe. So, all right, with that, I'm out of here. So thanks for watching again, and hail to the Demon Lord. I will catch you next time.